Welcome everyone to 3 Count Commentaries. I am MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about Carmella and her release from WWE. Let's get into it. I'm going to be very upfront. I knew this would happen. I kind of prophesized it before when I said don't expect Alexa Bliss and Carmella to return. There was some rockiness there, but Alexa Bliss ended up coming back, so I was 50-50. Hey, I'm as good as Meltzer, right? But I kind of expected that Carmella would not be brought back. And it had nothing to do with her having a baby. It had nothing to do with her being a woman. But I kind of view things through, with Triple H through a certain lens with the black and gold NXT stuff, the amount of bias he has towards those talent. And Carmella seems to miss that. So she didn't get it. She put out a supercut, or the podcast that she was on, put out a supercut of the interview that they did together and about her talking about how she feels about no longer being with WWE. And it's got a lot of negative attention because she mentioned, well, maybe it's because I had a baby, blah, 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 which is nonsense, right? But let's talk about it realistically. I'm going to take a different perspective. Because if there was, and let's say a bar, and you say, are you 100% pro Carmella or 100% anti Carmella? I'm probably 51% pro Carmella. I simply think that she did the most with what she was given, and that she wasn't that bad. She was mostly mid, but she was a pretty good personality and a pretty good character for the company. So I'm not against her, but she's not one of the people that if I saw they were going to release her, I would jump in front of that bullet. So I'm coming from this perspective of Carmella should have been given another opportunity. But let's hear what she has to say and see if we can agree with this. Because I don't have to agree with everything people say.
Next for Leah? What's next for Leah? For so long, it's like, oh, Carmella. And it's like, no, I can now fully be Leah and do what I want to do. And I don't know what that is.
So you have been out of WWE for almost 2 years.
Yes.
But not by choice.
No.
So let's talk about it.
That's the whole point, to get people talking and to be bold in your face. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversations that, women aren't having. Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because I had a baby? And
no. I have to say, I am now 50.5% Carmella. She lost me with that one. We already know it had nothing to do with the baby. Now, I will say this, though, and this is just being fair. There was only one woman that was really allowed to come back to WWE and continue her career with no problem after having a baby. And that was Becky Lynch. All right? No, they did not fire Lacey Evans for having a baby. No, they did not fire Alexa Bliss for having a baby. But it wasn't that long afterwards that Lacey Evans got released. And it was a rocky road to get Alexa Bliss back into the company. So there's a nice 50-50 chance that, she's not just throwing bullshit out there. But ain't got nothing to do with the baby. That's just nonsense. The whole thing about her being a woman, it's like, what the hell, they hire women all the goddamn time. It got nothing to do with you being a woman. It's this victim complex that you have, trying to, create here that I'm not a big fan of. I don't like that at all.
It just feels like a shitty way to end a 12-year career with the company.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty shitty.
This is how it ended.
But also to be treated like a human being and a woman. Right. And
who is this piglet that she's talking to? I have no idea who this person is. But she looks like Miss Piggy. Who is this person?
Someone who's dedicated 12 years of your life to this company.
He still has a job. We had a kid, and he has a job, but I don't.
Well, that's not that surprising considering his job is commentary. It's not that surprising considering his job is commentary. But I will say this: Corey Graves was on thin ice. Now that this whole thing started coming to a head when Corey Graves got into some trouble recently, his first night in NXT. I forgot what he actually said, But he was trying to stir up controversy. I think he knew then that Carmella wasn't coming back. And that's why he had an attitude. And he kind of just had the idea that, man, at least somebody in this house got a job. Shit. Forget it. I'm just going to, tip my hat to Michael Cole and just sit there and do my job on NXT, because if I keep tweeting out shit that they don't like, nobody in this house will have a job. You have to put the baby to work or something. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. But I did notice that right around this time, I think it was actually not that long ago, that Corey Graves got into some trouble.
I guess fast forward until a few weeks ago, and then I got a call saying that my contract was up in 10 days.
Everyone just ghosted.
Ghosted, completely ghosted.
Everybody's getting sued if it was me.
Sued? What are you going to sue him for? They say, oh yeah, your contract is up. Are we renegotiating? No. And then that's it. That was kind of it. They weren't interested in re-signing you. That's unfortunate. Now, it seems to me, and this interview, or this little clip here, it dropped maybe a couple of hours after Sonya Deville did her interview, or Daria Baronato, or whatever her name is. And she talked about they were in negotiations. She and WWE were in negotiations when they decided to cease negotiations. And that was pretty much it, because her contract was coming up as well. And they were talking about renewing the contract, and then skirt, it was over. And it seemed like Carmella, they didn't even put a thought into it. They just said, oh yeah, your contract's running out in 10 days. Good luck. And that was it. They weren't interested in negotiating with her. Yikes. But this is business, man. Maybe she expected at least an opportunity to negotiate. I don't know.
This is the end of my career. Like, what am I doing with my life? What do I have to offer? Why wasn't I given an opportunity somewhere else?
Okay, now that's a good question. Maybe she can't wrestle. And she can't wrestle. I think she said she had drop foot, which is an injury she got when she got pregnant. And she's been sitting at home for a long time. But when you consider that for a long time she was a manager, and she really is a decent promo and a decent personality, why wasn't she made a manager or a commentator or one of the girls who hold the microphone? Why release her completely? Well, that's a good question. I think she's pretty much blown up any second thoughts. I mean, that's something that you negotiate when you pitch it. When you guys get into negotiations and they say, look, we don't really need you as a wrestler anymore because we're going in a full work rate, direction. So we don't really need personalities anymore. What you need that for? This is pro wrestling. You got to be able to be a pro wrestler. You are a backup dancer or something. Then I think the argument then was an opportunity to pitch to do something else, some of these pre-shows or something like that. And I think she would have been good on that kind of stuff. Not that I would have watched it, but it would have been something to keep her busy, like they keep Big E busy. And he's been injured for a while now, even though he got injured in the ring, essentially.
Feel bittersweet, though, that all of your people are still there?
I feel like I'm being punished because I had a baby.
And men don't...
Stupid. That's stupid. That is stupid. Okay? That's stupid thoughts. Get those stupid thoughts out of your mind. All right? Those are incorrect thoughts. They're dumb. Please get rid of dumb thoughts.
Really have to think about it because they're men. They could change their mind.
Why would you want to be somewhere that doesn't want you? I wish more for women in general and moms, and especially athletes. I feel like you shouldn't have to choose one. Like, why can't you have both?
So this, oh my God. 50.1% Carmella. The female victim narrative, I'm not a fan of. I dislike that greatly. Look, let's just put it all on the table. Triple H don't really like Carmella. He never did. She was a manager in Black and Gold NXT. And again, it goes back to how Triple H views talent. Like I said, I like Carmella because I think she's a really good personality and she bounces off people very well. I think that her stuff with James Ellsworth was interesting because she knows how to bounce off of him. Her stuff with R-Truth was fabulous because her and R-Truth had good chemistry. I think that some of the stuff that she had with Reggie was good because she could play off of him. She can play off people very well. But in the ring, she's not great. she's okay. All right. She was good enough to get through matches. But Triple H was boiling, just absolutely pitching a bitch that she, was one of the first women to win the Money in the Bank. I think she won the first Money in the Bank. And that she pinned Asuka. That he was boiling because he did not view her in this way. She was a manager that Triple H took not Triple H, but Vince took a liking to and actually started pushing, When he took her from Enzo and Cass, nobody expected her to blow up, but Vince did it. He made it work. And when you look at the history of Vince doing that, seeing who Triple H liked and then going in a different direction, Triple H is going through and correcting most of those, right? Lacey Evans wasn't doing nothing in NXT. Vince gets her, takes a shine to her, tries to make something happen with her. And meanwhile, Shayna Baszler is sitting, rotting on the couch because Vince doesn't see anything with a 40-year-old washed up MMA fighter. He just doesn't see any interest there, right? You see Bianca Belair was in NXT. She was kind of a jobber to the stars, barely featured on the show. Vince tried to turn her into a megastar. As soon as Triple H got the reins, he finished her story with Becky Lynch, and then he put her on the bench. Go groom Jade Cargill for me. So then there's that. And then you had Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is a very interesting case because they fired all the other members of the Riot Squad. And it seemed to me like Liv Morgan was not long for this world under Triple H for the same reason that Carmella and Lacey Evans weren't going to make it. She was doing nothing in NXT. She was a manager. And basically she wrestled a little bit, but not a lot. And it was Vince who kept giving her opportunities. But I could see that around 2020, 2021, Liv Morgan started putting it together. The Dominic Mysterio story really took off. And because that really changed a lot of people's opinions about her. And that probably saved her career. You probably would be talking about Liv Morgan getting released or not being re-signed or something like that if that Dominic Mysterio story had not taken off. Because before then, it seemed like she was on her way out too. And again, Triple H just did not care about Liv Morgan. But she seemed to have worked her way back in. Alexa Bliss. She was also a manager in NXT. Vince took a shine to her, brought her in, used her as a wrestler. She's small. She's not that great. But good personality. Vince pushed the hell out of her. She went off, got pregnant, and then it took for, Mojo Rawley or whatever to step in and smooth things out before she comes back to the company. And then she hasn't really done much since she returned as of recording of this video. Who knows? You may be listening to this 5 years in the future and Alexa Bliss is main event in WrestleMania. In any event, you can look at how talent are used in NXT and equate that to a degree to how they're being used right now. Okay? If Triple H was a fan of you in NXT, he pushed you there. He's going to continue to push you now that he has control over the main roster. If he was not a fan of you in NXT, then he is not going to be a huge fan of you when he has control of the main roster. And the decisions to let certain people go, it seemingly is, to me, he's letting go people that are perceived, at least politically, as Vince talent. And Carmella is one of them. Lashley was one of them. MVP was one of them. Probably Shelton Benjamin was another one of them. That to me is the best way to look at things. See, nobody had a problem when Triple H talent, Samoa Joe and Keith Lee, when all these people got cut. Everybody was clear. These are NXT guys that Triple H loves, and Vince got rid of them because politically they're Triple H guys. But now Triple H is slowly but surely getting rid of all the Vince guys. People are like, we didn't need these guys anyway. What do you need a 6'4" massive black dude for? You don't need him. We got Johnny Gargano, for God's sake. You got Tommaso Ciampa. We don't need Lashley. Like that kind of shit, So Carmella, to me, is not that great in the ring. But then again, she is leaps and bounds better than Zoe Stark. All right? And I know that people are like, what do you mean? Zoe Stark is a great athlete. Physically, she can do the moves. But personality-wise, she can't connect. I don't think she could get over with her own family. I mean, they got Candice LeRae running around WWE, And you're telling me that there's no room for Carmella, who is already over and has been in the company for 10, 12 years already, and there's no room for her, but we got room for Candice LeRae? That there's nothing you could do that'll make people interested in Candice LeRae? Get real. Like there's a lot of stuff you could do. I could think of 2 or 3 things off the top of my head that you could do with Carmella that could be interesting. And it wouldn't change anybody's character or anything at all. Like one of the things they're doing right now is they put Trish Stratus with Tiffany Stratton. Carmella could have went with Tiffany Stratton. They had pretty much the same fucking gimmick. If they was going with heel Tiffany Stratton, they would have been almost exactly the same fucking character. You could have put Carmella with her as a manager if you didn't want Carmella to wrestle anymore. All right? That would have been an interesting dynamic, somebody she could play off of, somebody she could have fun with. She could be a big sister. It could be a different dynamic for her character. You could have done that. The fact of the matter is they just don't want to deal with her because Triple H really didn't want to deal with her in the first place. She was probably on the roster because, again, she was a Vince or a Johnny Ace hire or something like that. And that's the root of it. But we're going to play this game like it's a woman and she had a baby, blah, blah. No, it's got nothing to do with that. A lot of this stuff goes deeper than that. It's just interpersonal office politics. Triple H is in control now. There are certain people he didn't care for. He did not see the value, and he's getting rid of them. That's his choice. And people should see that for what it is, instead of trying to overthink things. Let's not overthink it. Triple H is in control. He didn't really like you from the beginning, and he's not going to give you a chance to change his mind. Now, Liv Morgan got lucky. Alexa Bliss probably got lucky. But Alexa Bliss, it factors in, that Wyatt Six thing factors in. If she was not going to be a part of that, I could see that he probably would have let her go too. But when you look at Sonya Deville's job was to get over Zoe Stark. She failed. Her job was to get over Shayna Baszler. She failed. She couldn't do it. She couldn't make it work. So that's it. She's done. Mandy Rose was one of the first people to get cut in WWE, when Triple H took over. She was one of the first people that got cut because they didn't view her as being the sort of star that Vince did. She was in NXT. That's Triple H's baby. He didn't want no part of that. Now, they drummed up some reason about, she wasn't even doing porn. She was just kind of doing videos and stuff. She might be doing porn now. I don't know. But that was a drummed up charge. We know that Vince had been through this before with the OnlyFans stuff, so it wasn't Vince. And there has been no conversation at all about bringing Mandy Rose back. None. Because Triple H is not interested, right? He was never interested in Mandy Rose. If you look at a lot of these talent, a lot of them are Vince/Johnny Ace talent. That's what it boils down to. Trying to put it on being a woman, put it on having a baby, or even saying she's not good in the ring, which a lot of people are going to say. She wasn't that good anyway. Look at how much plastic surgery she had. Well, Charlotte has a ton of plastic surgery too, right? All these broads do. Implants, breasts. It's just, let's not get into that because all of them got it. It boils down to political connections. Some people are there because they're incredibly talented, right or wrong. But a lot of it is political connections. Certain people are being pushed now that were super pushed now, like Bayley, who were only moderately pushed before. And Bayley got a big push in 2020, 2019 as well. But her renewed push is because Triple H always was a fan of Bayley. It's really that simple. Just Io Sky, Dakota Kai, all these people, because Triple H was already a fan. He wasn't a fan of Carmella. It's really a lot simpler than people are trying to make it out to be. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. We're just gonna